Who's really in control? You or your lazy brain? Because if you live on autopilot, you'll always settle for less. Your brain is wired to conserve energy, to avoid risk, to protect you from discomfort. But what if that same brain is the exact reason you're stuck? What if the real enemy isn't out there, but in here, hiding behind excuses that feel logical but are just fear in disguise? In this video, we dive into the brutal story of David Goggins, one of the toughest men alive, and how he forged an unstoppable mindset by doing the one thing most people never dare to do, embracing pain until it shut up. We'll break down how Goggins used raw discipline and the philosophy of Napoleon Hill to overcome insecurity, self-doubt, and a life of limitations, not with motivation, but with mental armor. Are you ready to stop negotiating with your weakness? Because once you force your mind to silence the pain, you become unstoppable. Before he became a Navy SEAL, before the books, the speeches, or the pull-up records, David Goggins was a ghost, not in the world, in his own life. He was the overweight kid, invisible in class, bullied at school, beaten at home. He stuttered, he hid, he lied, mostly to himself, not because he was weak, but because he didn't believe there was anything strong inside him. He grew up watching his mother be abused, working nights at his father's roller rink. No childhood, no peace, just survival. And when things got too heavy to carry, he did what most people do. He escaped into comfort, food, TV, excuses, and worst of all, the belief that this is just who I am. Napoleon Hill calls this the hypnotic rhythm. The mental patterns we repeat so many times, they become our identity. Goggins wasn't born soft. He was conditioned to stay small. And like many people, he stayed there. Until one day the pain of staying the same became louder than the pain of changing. He stepped on a scale. 297 pounds. He looked in the mirror, and he didn't recognize the man, not because he looked different, but because he knew he could be more. That was the spark, not motivation. Disgust, the honest moment when you stop lying to yourself about why you not doing what you know you should. Hill said, "No man can succeed in a line of endeavor which he does not like." Goggins took that further. No man can live in peace with a version of himself he doesn't respect. That was the day he started running. But not from pain, into it. David Goggins didn't start with strength. He started with shame. And his first runs weren't heroic. They were humiliating. He ran like a man who was dying. Because in a way, he was. Dying to the version of himself he could no longer accept. Every step burned, every breath hurt, but he didn't stop. Not because it felt good, but because he was done feeling numb. Hill wrote, "Desire is the starting point of all achievement, a burning desire." Goggins didn't just want change, he needed it like oxygen. So he made pain part of the deal. He turned suffering into his personal contract with transformation. Here's the shift. Most people avoid discomfort because they think it's punishment, but Goggins treated pain as payment, a down payment on the life he refused to die without. Push-ups until he puked, miles with shattered feet. And no, not to impress anyone, but because the more it hurt, the more real the change became. Napoleon Hill speaks of autosuggestion, telling your subconscious what you want until it believes it. Goggins didn't just speak it, he screamed it through action. He said, "You are in control now." And his body listened. The pain didn't go away, but it stopped winning. If your brain is used to negotiating your limits, Goggins teaches you this: make your suffering intentional, and it becomes power. Make your fear conscious, and it becomes a target. He wasn't chasing motivation, he was hunting a new identity. And he found it in the last reps, in the cold mornings, in the blisters, in the places most people run from. Because once you own the pain, no one can take the progress from you. There's a voice inside you, you know the one. It whispers when you want to push harder. It shouts when you dream too big. It says, "Who do you think you are?" That voice lived rent-free in David Goggins' head for years, but he didn't fight it by arguing. He fought it by outworking it. Hill said, "You may be hurt if you love too much, but you will live in misery if you love too little." And what is self-doubt, if not loving yourself too little? Goggins realized something. That voice wasn't his enemy. It was his training partner. Every time it said stop, he added 5 more reps. Every time it said rest, he ran another mile. He didn't try to silence the voice with comfort. He made it scream for mercy through action. This is where most people get it wrong. They try to wait until they feel ready. Goggins didn't wait. He forced readiness. He built it by stacking evidence, daily proof that he was stronger than the voice. Napoleon Hill called this faith in action, not the kind of faith that hopes things will get better, but the kind that says, I am better because I'm choosing to become better right now. Every push-up, every failure, every early morning was a message. I'm not who I was yesterday. And when you send that message enough times, doubt starts to lose its voice. It doesn't mean it disappears. It just doesn't get the final say. The real flex isn't being fearless. It's acting while afraid until fear becomes background noise. So when the voice inside you says, don't try, you'll fail, you can answer with calm, watch me. Because once you show your doubt who's boss, it starts working for you. Goggins wasn't chasing six-packs or medals. He was chasing the man he could have become if he never quit on himself again. That's the core, not ambition, not ego, responsibility. Napoleon Hill called it a definite chief aim, a clear vision of who you want to be, so strong it pulls you through the worst days. Goggins created that aim in his mind, a version of himself that was elite, disciplined, unstoppable. And he woke up every day to close the gap between where he was and that version. He owed that man. He knew what it felt like to waste potential, to give up, give in, and give excuses. And he made a vow, I'll never die having been less than I could be. That became his obsession. And obsession is not a flaw. When it's directed at greatness, it becomes your engine. When others took rest days, Goggins took revenge on his old self. Every morning run was a confrontation. Every rep was a declaration. I'm not negotiating with weakness today. This is how he rewired his identity. Hill said, you become what you think about, backed by emotion and action. Goggins thought about pain. He moved through it, and he began to see pain not as punishment, but as a portal to the man he respected. And here's where it flips for you. You don't get better by waiting to believe in yourself. You get better by becoming someone you don't want to let down. Goggins built that version and refused to betray him. So ask yourself, are you living like someone you admire? Or are you settling into someone you'll one day regret? Because once you make it personal, once you owe your future self the truth, you stop quitting. This wasn't a slogan for Goggins. It was a law. Every day he woke up with one mission, to do what the old version of him would have avoided, not because he hated comfort, but because he knew comfort was a liar. It tells you you've done enough when there's more inside you. It says you are fine where you are, when you rebuilt to go further. Napoleon Hill wrote, do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand. That's exactly what Goggins did. He didn't wait to feel motivated. He stood in his pain, in his weakness, and moved anyway. Every cold run, every rejection, every broken bone was a brick in his identity. He didn't get stronger by escaping pain. He got stronger by respecting it. And that's the shift. Most people run from pain thinking it will go away. Goggins ran into pain until it had nothing left to say. You want to build mental toughness. Stop trying to win the argument with your feelings. Outlast them. Hill believed in persistence, the refusal to give up when things get hard. Goggins weaponized that. He made the hard things a daily ritual. Not once, not when it was convenient. Every damn day. Because repetition doesn't just build habits. It builds identity. And once you believe you the kind of person who doesn't back down, you won a T. Goggins became that person by earning it, not with words. With mileage, sweat, silence, until his body became a resume of everything he used to run from. He didn't pray for easier days. He sharpened himself to handle harder ones. So, if today feels heavy, remember, the only easy day was yesterday. Let's go back to the beginning. Who's in control, you or your lazy brain? You know the answer now. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, quiet, invisible. But David Goggins didn't want safety. He wanted freedom, and he earned it by doing everything his old self resisted. He didn't silence the pain by ignoring it. He silenced it by outlasting it, by making his body the proof, by becoming someone whose actions were louder than doubt. Napoleon Hill said, "Success comes to those who become success conscious." Goggins didn't wait to feel like a warrior. He acted like one until his mind had no choice but to follow. And you've got a voice inside you that's been too quiet for too long. You've got a version of yourself that's stronger than your excuses, but you won't find it waiting. You'll find it running toward pain, repeating what hurts until it becomes familiar, refusing to flinch when it gets hard. Because the ones who earn transformation aren't the ones who look fearless. They're the ones who act with courage, again and again, even when they're scared to death. So if this video sparked something in you, a reminder of what you've been avoiding, a glimpse of who you really are when you stop performing weakness, then do one thing now: subscribe to Mind's Blacksmith. Not for me, but for you, because sharpening your mind isn't a one-time choice. It's a daily forge, and this is where we heat the steel.